Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast in association with Boylesports, Gowran Park Racecourse, EJ Menswear and Shamrock Thoroughbreds.
It is our Connor and Bryan Cooper. They've gone clear by 10 lengths. The danger now is in front. The eighth and final flight. He is over safely. Our Connor is clear and away.
Don Cossack is 4 lengths clear as they race on up the hill in the Tamiko Cheltenham Gold Cup. And Don Cossack for Jigginstown and Gordon Elliott and Bryan Cooper will win the Tamiko Cheltenham Gold Cup of 2016.
If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Champ.ie YouTube channel, as it helps to get horse racing content out there to the wider audience. Barry and Brian look forward to discussing your latest hashtag Cheltenham Ante-Post selections in the comment section below. We're on the road to Cheltenham again.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
Yes, and of course, we're on the road to Cheltenham again, episode number 2 of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge with myself and, of course, Bryan Cooper, Cheltenham Gold Cup winning rider. Brian, Mr. Coops, you've been very well received in the last week, and I suppose the people in the comments, they're very, very confident you're going to keep us in the green. Don't let us down.
Hopefully we can keep going anyway. Just not feeling the pressure yet anyway.
Yeah, no, listen, it was a great weekend of it, Brian, as well. We had lots to discuss, I suppose, coming up on the show as well. This is the agenda, Brian, for the show itself. Obviously, the performance star ratings on episode number 2. Lots to discuss, obviously, with Cheltenham, the November meeting over the weekend, and Avon Racing Festival as well. What a weekend it was. And look, lots of clues. The tracker horse, Brian, we're going to put one in every single week, of course, on the road to Cheltenham. And obviously, Racecourse of the Year. Gowran Park, what a tremendous job Eddie and the lads have been doing down at Gowran Park, of course, over the last 12 months. So vote Gowran Park for Racecourse of the Year. The Champion Chase, we're going to take a look at the Champion Chase picture 2025. Some viewers' questions. We'll be hearing from EJ Menswear and ejmenswear.com as well on their fantastic competition. And then week 2 selections at the end. Brian, as I said, very well received last week, and I suppose an exciting weekend of race. And how was your weekend? How was your week?
Yeah, it was good. I was actually in Fairyhouse all weekend. I was in Cheltenham Friday, flew over there Thursday for the sale. Then flew back Friday evening, and I was in Fairyhouse then Saturday and Sunday.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, obviously this show in association proudly with Boylesports, our betting partner, EJ Menswear and ejmenswear.com, Shamrock Thoroughbreds and Gowran Park, of course, the premier racecourse in the southeast of Ireland. First of all, Brian, before we kick off, just want to thank everyone who got involved last week. Obviously, their selections down below, not just their selections, though, for week 1, the engagement levels, the kind comments. Thank you very much. This is Series 5. We're really looking forward to it. Building up to the Cheltenham Festival 2025. So continue to put your selections down below. It is, of course, week 2. And just to mention, obviously, the overall prize, courtesy of our sponsors, Boylesports, a VIP trip to the Irish Grand National, of course, on Easter Monday, up for grabs. And we'll announce the prize winner on the eve of the Cheltenham Festival to the healthiest looking portfolio. So really looking forward to that. Brian, let's kick off. You've been very, very generous. Load of Sud. You've given him a 5-star rating. The Arkle Trial winner at Cheltenham. You said you were at Cheltenham over the course of the weekend. He must have really impressed you to give him a 5-star.
Yeah, he did. I thought his jumping was spectacular. You know, he looks a real 2-mile chaser. He was a very good hurdler, second in the county hurdle last year. But I think he's definitely, fence is going to bring out the best in him. And, you know, out of all the horses I saw over the weekend, he was definitely one of the most impressive. I just loved his jumping. He gets the lengths of fences, very accurate. And I'd say he's probably the UK's strongest Arkle chance at the minute anyway.
The yellow clay, let's move to Navan briefly. Novice hurdler for Gordon Elliott. He's absolutely stacked in this department. How impressed were you with the yellow clay?
Yeah, he was good. I thought he was in trouble at the back of the second last, and then he seemed to come back on the bridle. He's a horse that I just can't really kind of get my head around. You know, there seems to be a lot of hype about him. I can see him probably turn into maybe more of a, like, you know, Albert Bartlett, or Gordon could go down the conditional riders route. You know, it depends what handicap mark he gets in. But look, he's 2 from 2 now. His jumping is good. I'd imagine you'll see him in Leopardstown, or maybe he might go down to Limerick for the 3-mile novice hurdle there. But he's up there with Gordon's best novice hurdlers in a division that he's very strong with this year.
Just looking at the course itself, we see it time and time again. How highly do you rate Navan as a race course? You know, when horses come up, novices come up that hill in the style he did, as a race track with a view to Cheltenham, how highly do you rate the course itself?
It's one of the best courses in the country. It's very fair. Probably turns in. It's the stiffest track in Ireland by far. But I think it even rides even tougher now since they've moved second last hurdle back to across the top, where funny, it used to be there many years ago, but they put it back there. Tends to get people racing a lot quicker, and it turns into more of a stamina test. Whereas before, when you did 3 in the straight, people used to just try wait to get over the second last and have a go down to the last. But you find there, once they get over the second last now, there's a cavalry charge down into the dip, and there's a long run to the last, and they get racing a little bit earlier, which tends to suit horses maybe coming off the pace. But no, it's a great it's a great track, fair, and best horse usually wins.
In your opinion, obviously we've seen Romeo Coolio, the Yellow Clay, where obviously you put up Challenge Derry last week. In your mind, how does the Yellow Clay stack up against the two of those potentially?
I don't know, do I have him down as a real grade 1 horse just yet. I'd like to see him taking on better company. Like the Willie's horse that was second to him the last day, that's just summer form, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas my Jet was second. Like, I'm just going to sit on the fence for a while and see him take on proper grade 1 horses. But look, he's got a grade 2 in the bag now. He's won his maiden hurdle, and there's plenty of races for him, and I'm sure Gordon will place him right.
Yeah, I'm sure so. And obviously the Lawlers and Ace was mentioned for the Yellow Clay. Look, just I suppose sticking with the novice hurdlers, I'm going to kick off, Brian, with Potter's Charm. I'll get your thoughts on him in a moment. But look, 14-1 from 33-1 with our sponsors, Boylesports, for the Gallagher's novice. Willie Twiston Davis's made no secret, I suppose, how highly he regards Potter's Charm. To be honest, look, as much as it was a really good performance, I personally would be shocked if there's not, I suppose, a better novice across the water in Ireland here. Shades of Hermes Allen. Look, we've seen him been ultra impressive at Cheltenham early on in the season on decent ground. He's 3 from 3, Brian, over hurdles, Potter's Charm. The faster they went, the better he jumped. And Valgrand rated 140 coming into the contest, Brian. Obviously, he set a good standard. But the fact that Roxtown Girl, she's rated 117, she was banged there in the picture, coming to 3 out before she came down. Would that be maybe a query in relation to the form?
Look, they were still a long way out, and the other two really stepped on. As soon as Sam Twiston Davis joined Harry Skelton on Valgur, they stepped up the ante. They got racing very early. I was impressed with it. I thought he looks a good horse. Is he good enough to go off favourite for the Gallaghers or the Albert Bartlett? Not at the minute. I'd imagine there is stronger horses this side of the water, but he's a fair horse. He put 11 lengths between Valgard and himself, who's rated 140. They were giving quotes for the Supreme for Valgard after he won the last in Cheltenham. So it was an impressive performance. I'm sure he's stiffer tests ahead of him, but I like the horse. I think he's a great style of racing. His jumping's getting better, and I wouldn't rule him out running into Albert Bartlett either. I think he stays very well. He was second in the point-to-point in Drummahan, and I think this horse has a big future, and whatever we see of him over hurdles, I'd imagine it'll be better when he goes chasing.
When it comes to these novice hurdlers, especially at Cheltenham, a horse that quickens a third time, Brian. We saw him quickening, obviously, just coming down the hill. He quickened again, but turning in, he quickened a third time and really put lengths, as you said. He was quite good and professional. That is for sure. There's probably a little bit of room for improvement. I've given him a 3.5-star rating, Brian. East India Doc, though. Let's talk about the juvenile for the James Owen team. I was really taken by this performance. I know you don't like talking about juvenile hurdlers in early November, Brian. I think you said that last week. But look, 8-1 from 33-1 for the Triumph hurdle. There was a big reaction to his performance, and he was very, very slick over his hurdles. The way he came up the hill, he seemed to find another gear off the back of the last, left him for dead. The 1-2 rated Static was beaten 80 lengths by James Owen's runner. That's a trainer we're going to be hearing a lot more about as well, isn't it? 2 runners at Cheltenham over the weekend, 2 winners. This is a smart one. He said he's another one yet to come out. I'd like to see it if it's going to be better than East India Doc.
Yeah, no, he's doing things right anyway. He had Burden Road last year. Probably his only bad run was he's only one bad run, and then look, he came back and won the Great Wood yesterday. So this horse was highly rated on the flat, rate 89. Ollie Murphy's horse, I was looking through it. It says he won an ANTE-POST, but he won a claimer an ANTE-POST, and they give him a rating 125. So he was probably, if he was on flat form and everything that else that was in the race, he was entitled to do what he did. But there was a bit of wow about it. He jumped well. He's a lot easier ride than his brother, Burden Road. Yeah. He's more relaxed, and look, he's thrown himself into the mix. It's a long, long way ahead, and I'm sure Willie and whoever will pull out some ammunition between now and then. But it's hard. It's very hard for the English horses, I find, going to the Triumph, because there's so many of these Triumph hurdle trials over there, and they never really seem to take each other on, and you don't know which is the best. And whereas in Ireland, you really find out at the Dublin Race Festival of what's the real deal going, because they all seem to land into Leopardstown, Willie, Gordon, Henry, Gavin Cromwell, and they take each other on there, and you find out more. So look, we're a long way away. He has a big engine, but he has a lot tougher tasks ahead of him down the road.
Brian, just on down memory lane, obviously, that's a very hot beginner's chase at Navan every single season, and he took it in style. Yeah,
he was very good. I thought he last year he looked a chaser all over. You know what I mean? And he didn't disappoint. He jumped out, went a good gallop. Had some very good horses behind him. Now, I think the easier the ground, the better for him. I'm not so sure how he will handle the depths of real winter ground. He's a good moving horse, and Mark Walsh came up the widest and the wide outside of the track, which is always I walked the track actually this Saturday, and it was probably, if there was any bit of good in it, that was the best part of the ground. So it just probably has a bit more class than the likes of King of Kingsfield and Nürburgring on that type of ground. But it was a hell of a performance. He's thrown himself into the top 2 mile division now in Ireland for the novices. He has stiffer tests ahead of him, but I love the way he jumped. He quickened well, and look, he was very impressive in his maiden hurdle last year and didn't back it up. I think he had a few niggly problems. I know the horse quite well. He came from the Fogartys. I've ridden him a couple of times before he won his point to point. He's a strong traveller, a real 2 miler, I think, and Leopardstown will suit him if that's the route he goes down, or wherever he does go. I think a real jumping test will suit him.
Do you think the fact that we didn't really see him in the spring in a novice hurdle, he could be slightly going in under the radar for something like an Arkle?
Well, Gordon has always said he thinks he's very good, and I just, as soon as I saw Mark Walsh booking him out and letting him rock, I knew then this was a go day, So Gordon hasn't made any secret of how good he thinks he is, and he backed that up against probably a lot stronger horses than what he did in his maiden hurdle. He didn't the form of his maiden hurdle was shocking. I don't think any winner is coming out of it, but he's beaten 3 solid good horses there now, and and won a battle as well. So that's what I liked. He found plenty from the battle last.
I'm sure there'll be people throwing stones here with John Bonnet, 3-star rating. I've rated him 3-star. Look, to me, it was working like Brian. He's a brilliant jumper and jumped really, really well, I thought, at the weekend in the slower chase, making it with 10 from 12 over fences. He's had plenty of racing over fences. Stamina was never going to be an issue with John Bob. And he really, I suppose, pulled out in the finish. But the fact that Boot Hill was only beaten a length back in second, for me, I thought that's is that really champion chase winning form? I wouldn't put you off anyone, I suppose, fancying him for a Tingle Creek. I think he's 4 from 4 around Sandown. But for me, anyone considering 7-2 for a champion chase, 3-star rating for me, Brian. I wasn't blown away, were you?
No, not at all. I was there. I thought he was beat, actually, about 100 yards from the line. I thought Boot Hill was going to come and nab him. I think this horse is crying out for an extra 4 furlongs. I'd love to see him in a Ryanair. I think his style of racing suggests that he'll relax, and he's got that bit older. He's not as hard on himself, and I'm just not so sure is he a real 2 mile champion chaser. He's jumping when Nico gets on him there and he lets him rock down over fences. He does get him into a lovely rhythm, but I think things will be a little easier for him over a trip, and he'll probably go on and run well in a Tingle Creek, but don't be surprised if you see him be stepped up and tripped towards the later end of the season.
Yeah, he needed absolutely every yard of it, didn't he, in the Mellon Chase last year as well at Aintree. And 5-1 for a Ryanair, 7-2 for a champion chase. I know what way I would be leaning. Right, so we're going to take our first ad break, Brian, and when we come back, we're going to be talking all things Tracker Horse.
Gowran Park Racecourse, the premier racetrack in the southeast of Ireland, is located on the outskirts of Kilkenny City. Gowran Park is your #1 choice for corporate days out, stag and hen party events, and an overall great local racing experience. Known as the race that stops the county, the famous Goffs Thyestes Chase 2025 takes place on Thursday the 23rd of January. With packed crowds expected once again this January, you can book your early bird tickets online today. Visit gowranpark.ie online, click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description, or scan the QR code on screen to purchase right now. Eddie and the team look forward to welcoming you to Gowran Park this winter.
150 yards to go, Glen Gooley, and Ain't That a Shame from Angel's Dawn. Ain't That a Shame is going on to win the Goffs Thyestes, pulling out every stop from Glen Gooley.
Yes, and of course, the 23rd of January, put it in the diary. Goffs Thyestes, they're the big one. And you will, of course, see Gowran Park. What a season they've had down there. They've opened the new weigh room, of course, looks an absolute picture down there. Of course, Gowran Classic, the richest ever race, which was run, of course, back in June. And, of course, full houses at Goffs Thyestes Day and Red Mills Chase Day. We look forward to a busy winter down at Gowran Park once again. And, Eddie and the lads, please vote for the guys down below. You will see the link in the video description. You can log on to www.hri.ie Corporate Press Office Awards and Racecourse of the Year. Still an opportunity to vote. And Eddie and the guys down Gowran would absolutely love if you put in your vote for Gowran Park, the premier racecourse in the southeast of Ireland. Let's make it the premier racecourse in the whole of Ireland. Brian, I suppose next section of the show, Dar ran a fantastic race for your dad up at Navan. He caught my eye. There was one other at Navan that caught my eye as well. I suppose tracker horse for yourself. What caught the eye?
Look, yeah, Dart ran a great race. Tad unlucky. I think they just got away from him at the top of the hill, and they got 4 or 5 lengths in him. He came from a long way back, but he's plenty options. I think might try go down the Pertemps route maybe or something like that. So we'll see. But he's he's stepping up into good handicap company, and great that he backed up his run from Punchestown. But my tracker horse is a horse called Blue Devassi of Gordon Elliott's. I think this horse has just turned inside out since he's got a hurdle in front of him. He jumped incredibly well on his debut in Fairyhouse, and he was very impressive to me in the for auction hurdle in Navan over 2 mile. He won a bumper over 2-2, so he's got plenty of options. To me, I thought he was more impressive than the Yellow Clay, and if you were to give me one of the two, I'd have him. And I just think this horse could win a lot of races and pick up a lot of prize money if he continues going the way he's going at the minute.
Trip-wise, Brian, what do you think he'll be? Is he a 2 mile or 2.5 mile?
He's 2 mile there now, but I wouldn't be afraid to see him step up to 2.5. I'd be shocked if he doesn't turn up in the Lawless race in Nace after that. And then I suppose that'll give him a good idea. Like, I don't think if he had to step off at the start of the year, I'd say he wasn't up with Gordon's top novice hurdlers going for the season, but he's definitely thrown himself into the mix there now, and he's going to win plenty of races.
Absolutely. Jerry Hannon loved that one in the Lawlers and Ace Bleu de Vassy. As
I was actually listening to him in doing the commentary in the Tri-Town the other day, and I'd love to know what the clock says for how quick he got through. No, it wasn't a Tri-Town, it was Darts race. I actually wish someone put a timer on it and clocked how quick he went through the whole field, because it was incredible.
Should have heard. Was it at the Curragh, the last meeting in the Curragh?
Galway, was it? Or the Curragh?
No, the Curragh, the last meeting, 27 runner handicap.
Oh,
and I'd say that'd give it a good run for its money. It was the last meeting in the Curragh there, 27 runners over the mile, and he literally got through them. So, yeah, Bleu de Vassy, as Jerry would say. That's your tracker horse. Brian, I have to say, I thought Birdie or Bust. Last year, look back to that beginner's chase. You mentioned the winner down memory lane. Spallan's Tower was 4th in this exact same race last season. This mare, she's a 6-year-old daughter of Walk in the Park. She's a nice bit of experience over hurdles. Last year, career best effort did come when she finished 3rd in the Mare's Novice Hurdle. She really fills the eye, this mare. I wasn't up at Navan, but I've seen her in the flesh in the past. She really is a big, robust mare, made for a fence. I thought she jumped beautifully throughout. Darragh O'Keefe, we were singing his praises last week, as you know, the patience. You know, he obviously gave her a patient ride, took his time on her. She really caught the issue. She made a mistake at the last. She definitely would have been 3rd, if not 2nd, behind down memory lane. To me, it was a really eye-catching run. And look at the race itself, as we mentioned, 2nd in Grade 1 company last season. King of Kingsfield was placed. Nürburgring stayed on for a place as well, the Galway hurdle winner. So it's rock solid form. And I think she's definitely one to keep on side. Birdie or bust for the Henry de Bromhead team. Let's kick on the Champion Chase 2025. Let's take a look at the market itself, Brian. Every single week on this show, we're going to look at a race, Ante-Post. Look at a race picture, Ante-Post with a view to Cheltenham. John Bond, we discussed, look, 3-1 top of the market off the back of the weekend. That's an absolutely chronic price, if you ask me. Gaelic Warrior, 4-1. El Fabiola 6s, Energamine 8-1, and Ilete Tamp 16-1 in the market. What way do you see the Champion Chase picture, Brian?
I just looking forward to seeing Energamine coming back. I've never seen a horse win the Champion Chase literally on the bridle. Paul, there's a close-up shot of Paul Townend, and he was actually laughing at the screen like coming up the straight. And you don't do that in Grade 1 company over 2 mile in Cheltenham. Albeit, I suppose, look, he didn't probably, like, Captain Guinness was second last year, and I know he's been off the track for a year, but I think this horse just is a lot better than the rest of the opposition. L.A. Thompson was a good novice last year. He racked up 3 Grade 1 wins, I think, between Punchestown, Leopardstown, and Aintree. So he's improving, but I think he has options of going up in trip as well. El Fabiola.
As do plenty of these, Brian.
Hmm?
As do plenty of these.
Yeah, I'd say I saw just on Twitter there earlier on, there was a lot of money for Gaelic Warrior for the King George. I think he went from 8s into 92 or something. So I can't imagine anything's been set in stone down in Close Sutton, but he could be a King George type of horse more so than I know he won the Arkle last year, but he just got an incredible ride off Paul Townend. I don't think not many others may have won on him, but he's in the mix. John Bond, I'm sitting on the fence. There's an El Fabiola I can't have. He doesn't jump well enough. And he eventually got found out. He's a massive engine, but you can't bull those fences like he did. And caught up with him last year back in at Cheltenham in the Arkle. So I'm going to stick with Energamine. He's solid. He's been there. He's done it. And if William manages to get him back there in one piece, I'd rather have 8-1 on him now than 3-1 on John Bond.
He's the king, isn't he, Brian? And if he goes on to win 3 Champion Chases, Badsworth Boy, I think, was the only one to do it. Can Energamine do it? Look, we've seen plenty of horses win it twice in the past. Altior, Sprinter Sacra, Masterminded, Moscow Flyer, Viking Flagship, Barnbrook again have all won it twice. So is Energamine. And if it turned up soft ground, Brian, at Cheltenham, and he gets there one piece, the rest of them can stay at home, can't they?
Yeah. Paul, he mightn't have it as easy as he did 2 years ago, but I think it'll take a very tough, big performance for something to turn him over if he gets there.
He's a serious price there. Now, obviously, we're likely to see him in the Hillyway, and reports have been good from Willie Mullins. Right, Brian, couple of questions to throw at you after this quick, short message.
From Dundalk to Longchamp, from the Galway races to the Breeders' Cup, Shamrock Thoroughbreds have taken owners all over the world.
Tiger Bell in front, holds them. Late on the scene is Dawn Charger storming home, but Tiger Bell in front and won.
Coming through the centre, Laugh a Minute with a strong challenge on this Laugh a Minute, who goes on to the closing stages to win by a length and a half. Laugh a Minute from Fiscal Roots.
But it's Harry's Bar repelling the late challenge of the stable companion Dream Today, and Harry's Bar makes it 6 course wins.
Check out shamrockthoroughbreds.com or click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description to learn more about new racehorse ownership opportunities.
How are things? EJ here. We got an unbelievable competition tonight, okay? EJ Menswear and EJMenswear.com are teaming up with Champ.ie, Ireland's premier racing podcast. Any racing fans that likes to have a little bet every now and again or follow the horses, Champ.ie are helping us to launch our fantastic tailor bundle that's back on track again. Everything for $2.99, blazer, shirt, chinos, shoes, socks, the whole lot. In fact, we have the 2 boys here themselves, Barry and David. Look at these 2 boys from Champ.ie, looking good in their tailored bundle from EJ Menswear. They came all the way from Tipperary to get togged out for our tailor bundle. Good news travels fast, okay? So EJ Menswear, EJMenswear.com, check it out. All about your tailor bundle. You got your blazer, you got your shirt, you got your chinos, you got your shoes. The boys are going happy, fully togged out. home happy. So our competition tonight, okay, we're going to give away 2 VIP tickets to a major horse racing event over Christmas, compliments of Champ.ie and a Taylor bundle for some lucky winner. I'm just going to ask you a simple question. Derek Fox has won the Grand National how many times? Once, twice or 3 times? How many times has Derek Fox, a local legend of a jockey, won? And someone's going to win a fantastic Taylor bundle of their choice. Check it out, all there, and more lines being added over the next few days. Your blazer, your shirt, your chinos, your shoes, and someone's going to win full outfit of their choice and a trip to one of the premier racing events over the Christmas. Don't forget, check out Champ.ie, check it out on YouTube, and get all you want to know about horse racing. The boys will look after you.
Yes, $2.99. It's a fair value for to be fully kitted out for the course, the winter racing, and still an opportunity to get involved in that fantastic EJ Menswear competition, VIP, a trip to the races over Christmas, and of course a Taylor bundle of your choice. Brian, it's questions time, and thanks very much to everyone who've put your questions down below in the comments. Do so again for episode number 3 coming up next week. But Brian, if the Gold Cup is a true run race this season, can you not give a chance to Monty Star, said John Green. For me, he says, he's endless stamina, jumps like a buck, and he thinks he can get revenge with Factor File. Your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I fancied him in Cheltenham, and I think if maybe they went more of a gallop, it might have suited him a bit better. Kind of didn't go that quick earlier on. Factor File was a bit keen. He's probably a classier type of horse. Yeah. He's a half brother to Mona Lee, who we all know. He's a great profile, very similar profile to Mona Lee and Manila Indo, and owned by the same owners. There's no reason why he can't go. And if he won a Gold Cup, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just he's very unfortunate that I think this is probably the strongest year of a Gold Cup that we'll ever see, albeit if they get there in one piece. I could see him reversing the form of Factor File maybe over a stiffer test and softer ground, but he'll have it very hard to do to win a Gold Cup. You could pick a lot. He could have picked a few other years to try have a go at it, but no. Look, he's entitled to improve. He's only 7. And Henry's, he knows what to do with these type of horses. He'll throw himself into the mix, but it'll be a big ass if he can go and win him.
A very shrewd judge I know is after backing about 100-1 earlier on in the season for the Ryanair Chase. I wonder would it be beyond the bounds of possibility that maybe they look at the Ryanair and say it's a little bit more winnable. If Chambon steps up and Tripper, Gaelic Warrior ends up maybe in the Ryanair, maybe you think not. But yeah, look, he's a horse that I fancied him going into Punchestown last year, maybe to topple Spillane Tower, who was on the go, obviously, off the back of Fairyhouse as well. It was a quick turnaround from Fairyhouse to Punchestown. He disappointed me that he didn't get the job done at Punchestown against Spillane Tower, who's a fair rival. But yeah, that's interesting. And Brian, the second question comes in from Shifty Lad, who's a good follower of the show over the last couple of seasons. And his question, seeing as there's more Mayor's races now and a better Mayor's program, should there be a Mayor's Gold Cup? Jamie Codd mentioned it before. There almost is, Brian, isn't there? Except it's not over 3 Mile 2.
Yeah, I don't think they're no, is my answer. The Mayor's Chase is great. The Mayor's Chase is great, but like the Gold Cup is the Gold Cup. Don run one it. If you're good enough and you've a mare that's good enough, well then go and take the geldings on and best horse win. I'm not a fan of all these races diluting the festival, and it definitely doesn't need another run. If you've a mare that's good enough to run the Gold Cup, run her in the Gold Cup. If she's not good enough, then run her in the Mayor's Chase. That's my view on it. But look, I can't see it happening. There's just the festival is a bit diluted as it is, as it stands. So look, we have the Mayor's Hurdle and the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, but they don't need another Mayor's Chase on top of what's already there, I think.
Boylesports. Don't just bet. Choose wisely.
So we're on to the next section of the show. Last week, obviously, Mr. Coops, you put up Jalan Dairy for the Ballymore. That was well received. Plenty in agreement with you in the comment section down below. And I put up Stencil for the Triumph Hurdle, of course, unbeaten for the Noel George team and third in the market currently. Both 16-1 last week, Brian. Can you top that in terms of price?
I'd say I'm a little bit shorter this time, but mine is Energy for the Champion Chase. Look, I think he's rock solid, and at that price at the minute, if he shows up, like he won't be 11-1 on the day, and I can guarantee you that. So I'd be jumping at that if I can. I think if he gets there in one piece, he's going to take all the beating. We're a long way away, but Willie will campaign him rightly, and he's definitely the best horse in the race by far.
You mentioned he's the best horse in the race, Brian. I think this Energumene, if he comes back to his best and, stays in one piece, personally, I think he's £10 plus better than the rest. I mean, you mentioned the distance he bet Captain Guinness. If it's soft ground, I thought the rest of them can stay at home. And when you text me that earlier, Brian, I said, something, snap. 11-1. I've gone the same. That's my week. That is my week 2 selection. Champion Chase, 11-1, double figures, best industry price on an Energumene at the moment, Boylesports. You can avail of that price below in the, of course, to the comment section. You'll see the link to avail of that offer. But look, Brian, just back to the chance of the horse himself. I mean, look, it's a 6-time Grade 1 winner. Energumene, bidden for his third Champion Chase. As we mentioned, only Badsworth Boy, should I say, has achieved that feat back in 1985. We mentioned John Bon is at the top of the market at 3-1. He's had 3 more starts over Energumene, and Energumene, I suppose, is 10 rising 11. Moscow Flyer did it as an 11-year-old, but to me, anyone that's going to knock Energumene and throw his age at him, I thought a very interesting statistic. 9 of the last 14 winners of the Champion Chase were 9 years of age or older. He's a lightly raced 10-year-old, turning 11. Anyone that's thrown the age statistic at Energumene or age at him as a reason why he won't win it, Brian, what would you say?
No, it's not. The fact he's so lightly raced, like he only really has three runs a year, maybe 4, and he's not overly hard on himself either. He's relaxed type horse. He's very laid back animal, which will stand to him, and you get more longevity out of him. And no, I'm not worried. As you said, Moscow Flyer has done it, and I think, look, I know we're miles away from Cheltenham. You don't want to be drawn in, but I think if he gets there, he will win.
Yeah, I think so. Look, just looking at the race finally, Brian, John Bon, we mentioned stepping up and trip is probably the right option for him long term. El Fabiolo, you mentioned the jumping, recent form, and I think I read in the stable tour as well when he did say that we mightn't see him till early in the new year due to a setback. So that's obviously a positive for Energumene backers. Gaelic Warrior, is he going the right way around? He got away with it in the Arkle last year, but to me that was a poor Arkle, I thought, last year.
Poor Arkle, and probably not a lot of people would notice it, but I think that is one of the best rides Paul Townend ever gave a horse. It didn't, to the public eye, it didn't. But for me as a jockey, knowing how difficult that horse was and how easy he made it look, he didn't get half the recognition he did for the ride it was.
Yeah, so that's a wrap for episode number 2 of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. There is up on screens 11-1 Energumene if you want to avail of both myself and Mr. Coop's selection for episode number 2 of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. Let us know your selections down below. As always, give the video a good old thumbs up for us. And let us know your questions for episode number 3. Brian, it's been a pleasure having you on once again. And we look forward to catching up once again next week on the Road to Cheltenham. We're on the road again.